Welcome to Pherotone Studios. I've got a Squier Bullet Stratocaster and a Squier Affinity Stratocaster, and I'm going to compare them and basically tell you why you should just get the more expensive one. I've got a confession to make. I've already shot this video, but I forgot to press record, so I already know that that one's better. This one is the Bullet, it's 150 quid. This one is the Affinity, it was 170 quid. 20 quid difference, and there are some differences immediately when you pick them up. This one's lighter, not that weight is a problem, but this one has a thinner body, so the standard size body is about 44mm, sort of give or take, because by the time they spray the mountain of lacquer on it, it's about 46mm. So this is like a full-size guitar, feels like every guitar I've ever played. And with the Bullets, something I've never quite got on with, they're about 40mm, so they're about a tenth thinner. And I just don't like the feel of it. So you may not be bothered, but I don't really get on with that. It just feels more like a toy, whereas this feels like a proper guitar. The only other thing that's really obvious to me was two things actually. This one comes with a 3-ply pick guard. I know that's just an aesthetics thing, so it's got this little pinstripe around the edge of it. I just think it's a really nice detail. The Bullets don't normally come with that, so it's just a single ply, which I also think makes it look a bit cheaper. If you buy a 3-ply pick guard, they're a tenner, so 150, 170. So if you were to make this more like this, you're already at 160 quid. It's only a tenner more, you know, to have a full thickness guitar. So I mean, I don't really see the point of the Bullets, if I'm being completely honest. But anyway, I'll carry on. One weird thing on this one, the slugs of the pickups, they stick out from the pick guards like a mile, like about 3 or 4mm, whereas these look more sensible, sort of just sticking out 1mm. I'm not going to go into why it makes no difference nowadays, but this just looks a bit weird. This one also sounds better, I found that out yesterday, but we'll go into the sounds in a minute. Apart from that, there isn't much difference. The machine heads have different plastic coatings on the back, but they look and feel the same, so I imagine they are the same. I actually thought the pickups would be the same, but they probably aren't, given that they look different. The electronics feel very similar. The necks feel very similar. I think the Affinity has a tiny bit more lacquer on it. It's not glossy by any means. They're both very satin. This Bullet almost feels unfinished, which feels really nice. It's just nice and smooth. It glides over. It's not sticky at all. It feels fantastic. There aren't really any finish problems with the bodies. They look great. They both come with a free Fender play lesson. I've heard that's okay. I don't know much about it, to be honest. Let me know in the comments. They both have the walnut plug in the headstock. So see here where the truss rod adjustment is? I think that's a really nice touch. I like that. I just think it looks a lot better. These two models, I don't know if this is the same on all Affinities, but the Affinity has the bigger headstock and the Bullet has the smaller one. I don't think that's always the case. There's two different designs of headstocks. I prefer the smaller one, but it doesn't really bother me on this. Obviously this is a maple fretboard. This isn't rosewood, this is, what is it? Laurel. So this is laurel, and I think they may have dyed it because the dots on this are sort of clay coloured, which I don't have a problem with, and I think looks really good. I think these dots look fantastic. See, these ones are a lot, I was gonna say whiter, they're actually black, awkward. No sharp frets. The fingerboard on this looks slightly rolled. One weird thing you get with definitely all Bullets and all the Affinities I've played, I haven't played as many Affinities to be honest, is you get really scratchy frets. Actually, I won't do it on this one because I've played this Affinity quite a lot, but listen to this. The frets, where they finished them, they haven't really gone to town on making them as smooth as possible. Like I said, this one doesn't really have it anymore because I've played it for a couple of hours, so the frets are sort of worn smooth, so it does wear off if you play it. However, I have bought, because I'm going to put a set of 10s on it, these come strung with 9s, I bought a set of these fretboard protectors and a set of fret rubbers. I normally tape off the fretboard and then do any fretwork, but I thought I'll try these and do a video on these and the fret rubbers. Never used a fret rubber, I've only used sandpaper or wet and dry. So I will let you know how that goes when I do it on the, I'll probably do it on both of them, why not? Just to make it feel a bit nicer. This video is going to be in two halves. The first half, I'm going to be playing through a Boss Katana. Just going to do it on clean so you can really hear how it sounds. It's got an SM57 on the cone. is definitely recording this time. Gonna start on the neck pickup. I'm just gonna put everything on full because that's how most people play. This is how the neck pickup sounds on the Squier Affinity Stratocaster. And neck pickup on the Squier Bullet Stratocaster. I think this one seems to me like it's louder. I don't know if you can see the dB meter behind me, but keep an eye on that, see if it is louder. But this to me sounds like it's louder, but also quite harsh sounding compared to the Affinity. I'm surprised they'd bother putting different pickups in a guitar that costs only 20 quid more, but this one's from China, this one's from Indonesia. I thought it'd be the other way around. Doesn't really matter, it's just a CNC machine. Anyway, this is position 2, which is these two pickups, and what you will notice is when I go between these two positions, it goes from buzzing to not buzzing, because this one's probably wound the other way. So this is position 2. And on the Bullet Strat, middle position on the Squier Affinity Strat. Middle position on the Bullet Strat. I mean, really and truly, I'd roll the tone off a bit, but I'm doing sort of a full comparison. There will be tolerances in the parts, so the capacitors will probably have a 10 or 20% tolerance, which is why that one could be harsher. Just sounds a bit awful, to be honest. Right, position 4, which is these two pickups. This is the Squier Affinity Stratocaster. Position 4 on the bullet vibrator. Bridge pickup on the Squier Affinity Stratocaster. Bridge pickup on the Squier Bullet Stratocaster. Right, what I will say is, I just think the Affinity sounds better the whole way through. That one just sounds a bit harsh. I know you can roll the tone off, but I'm not quite sure what the two tone knobs on the Strat do. I believe they are for the neck pickup and middle pickup. I don't think it works on the bridge pickup, so this is on the bridge now. So you can't really turn off the tone on the bridge. What I tend to do is make this tone pot a master and make this a blend pot, so this sort of becomes a five-way switch, so you can blend in the neck or the bridge pickup. I've got a video on that mod, so I probably will, to be honest, I probably will keep this guitar. I quite like it, whereas I'll just sack that one off. It just gives you a bit more variation, and it, like I've just shown, it's sometimes handy to have a tone knob for the bridge pickup. So it's an easy mod. It only costs about 20 quid I think to do, and it just sounds great. One more thing I will say is that this has the 6-screw tremolo. There's a 2-point version which comes on the American ones, and I believe on the Mexican ones, so the Player Series. Having had both of those, it's only something I've become aware of differently. I just thought a Strat bridge was a Strat bridge, and flicking between those guitars, because I was a Strat player for years, I never noticed any difference between the two different tremolos. I mean, other people may have done, but I didn't, so I don't think it's something to get hung up on. I never felt any difference whatsoever. I just thought bridge was a bridge, so don't worry about that. This isn't a problem. It's on thousands of guitars, of course it's not. And I think this is the more vintage style of thing. There's nothing wrong with these. I do think the neck carves are different between the Bullet and the Affinity. This one just feels a bit nicer, but that's subjective. Some people like fat necks, some people like thin necks. I think they're both a 9.5 inch radius. I don't really like the 7 1/4 inch radius or whatever it is ones, which is something I discovered I had on one of my guitars, which I thought, oh, that must be the reason I don't like it, so I got rid of that. This looks great. If this said Fender on the headstock, and on the front, on the back it sort of says something about being made in China, but if this said Fender, so if you sounded this off and put a Fender decal on it and pass it to someone, here's my new Fender, what do you think? They would just think, oh, this is a Fender. they wouldn't think, oh, this is a Squier. This is 170 quid. I spent more than that on a night out before, so not even go out anymore. So instead of going out getting drunk, buy one of these. The only thing I will say is I don't really see the point of the Bullet. If these are 150 quid, unless you can get them cheaper than that, and I paid over the odds, although this is a Fender special run, an FSR one in metallic purple, so it looks cooler. If you wanted a second guitar for gigs, you know, if you break a string, it's easier to swap guitar than it is to change a string. You don't want to change a string on stage, that's just embarrassing. This could be it. This could actually be your main guitar, in fairness. For 20 quid in difference, this just sounds better. It feels nicer. It feels just that bit chunkier without it being heavy. I don't really see the point of this £150 Bullet. I don't know, leave a comment if you disagree with me, but whatever. Anyway, I'm going to put 10s on both of these. I'm going to pull the electrics out, have a look, show you those, just see what's inside. I may as well, it's just interesting. And then I'm going to do the second half of the video through an orange valve amp, just so you can hear how that sounds on a more expensive amp that's valve, so the Boss Katana solid state sort of digital thing really, and on a valve amp, so gives you the full perspective of how it sounds. I've just opened up the Squier Bullet to have a look at the inside. There's a couple of things that I'm going to point out. The switch is a bit cheap, but again, will probably be fine. The pots are the small kind. Again, they're probably slightly more prone to wearing out, but only if you're using them lots. A lot of people just leave everything on full, or only use the volume to turn the guitar sort of off. So, I mean, most people will never wear a pot out, so I wouldn't worry about that either. The pickups look okay. They're not sort of lacking winds. They've got these two magnets on the back of the pickup rather than one large magnet. The other thing I found a bit strange is all three of the pickups, the spacing of the slugs is 50mm, which I haven't had on a guitar. I don't know if I've had that on a guitar before actually, but I haven't changed many pickup covers on a Squier Bullet, so just seemed a little odd. I can't really see why these pickup pole pieces are staggered, but I suppose it's a bit different, isn't it? So whatever. Apart from that, you can see that it's routed for humbuckers, so if you want to put humbuckers in it, it would be really easy to do. Looks fine to me, to be honest. There's nothing terrible. It's all a bit budget, but I don't think most people are going to wear it out, and you can easily upgrade this stuff. So, job done. Just have a look inside the Affinity Squier. It's the same sort of thing. There's small pots. They're using the same capacitors. The switch is the same. So they're all fairly cheap components. Not really a problem. I think the wiring in this one's a bit neater. They've got a full magnet over the rear of the slugs, which I don't know why. I just think that's better. Maybe why these pickups I thought sounded better. Similar number of winds it feels or looks like on the pickups. I mean, I haven't tested the output. I will do. I'll do a comparison between the outputs so we can see, just out of interest. One thing that is different on this one, the spacing of the slugs. So it's 52, 54 and 56mm. On the Bullet they were all 50mm. I suppose there's going to be more wire on a 56mm spacing because the distance is further. Probably adds to the sound. I don't know too much about pickups, but if you do, leave me a comment. There's no shielding on the back of either of the scratch plates under the pickup area, just on the electric cavity. That's kind of normal. I would like to put some on the rear of here. Also, this cavity is not shielded. I'd quite like to shield that. Just think it helps a bit. The routing here is a bit different compared to the Bullet. So you got for two humbuckers as well, but this bit's bigger, so you could probably put 3 P90s in here quite easily, whereas you'd struggle on the Squier Bullet. Not that anyone ever does that, but if you wanted to put 3 P90s in the guitar, it would be harder on the Bullet, easy on this, but everything's going to be a bit easier on this because the body's deep, which means this cavity is really deep, which means changing switches and stuff is often deeper. When it's shallow, sometimes if you put in a fancy 5-way switch, it doesn't fit. You have to sort of route it out, so it's just a better guitar for 20 quid. I'm going to put it back together, put 10s on it, test the outputs, and then after I've done this comparison I'm going to put different pickups in this. Although these don't actually sound bad, I've kept the other ones for about 20 years, so I want to use them. Welcome back! These both now have 10s on them. That's just my preference, I prefer 10s. They feel nicer. I have had quite a lot of comments because I've released a couple of videos on this guitar in the meantime. This is a full thickness body. I've measured it. It's about 44mm thick. I've used my electronic calipers. This one's about 40mm thick. I believe the 2020 version of the Affinity they've gone back to full size body, whereas the Bullets are still smaller. I do prefer this, but the Bullet doesn't bother me as much now as it did when I first tried it, even though I've had a few Bullets. I've recently got a Gibson SG and played that loads, and that's a ridiculously thin guitar, thinner than this. It's about 35mm thick. So the thin body on this doesn't bother me as much anymore, which is weird. Everything else is incredibly similar. I took the electronics apart and had a look inside. I changed the pickguard on this to a black one, just I thought it looked better, and it's 3-ply now instead of 1. That's one thing I prefer about this. These come with a 3-ply scratch plate, these come with a single ply. 3-ply just looks a lot better, just makes the guitar look a lot better. So if you're going to buy a Bullet, whack one of those on it. I've also did a price check. The reason this is 150 quid is because it's a special colour. These are about 110, 120 normally, so that's quite a bit of difference, 50 quid difference by the time you buy a pickguard, 40 quid difference. The scratchy frets are no longer a problem because I played this one loads, so they aren't around. I used some fret rubbers on this one, did a video on that, so none of these are scratchy anymore. Electronics wise, they're both ceramic pickups. These ones have one magnet over the rear of the slugs. These ones have two, so sort of one each side of the slugs. Now, I think it's cheaper to make it that way for some reason. These pickups are also a lower output than these, which I wasn't expecting. I thought the Bullet was louder, but it turns out maybe the pickups are just closer to the strings, even though they definitely don't look like it. So I'm not sure what I was hearing there. Maybe they're just brighter. Just for reference, these three pickups are 4.7k, just over 4.7k, and about 4.9k, and on the Bullet they are 3.2k, about 3.5k, and about 3.5k. Also, pickups come with different sizes, so I can't remember, I've forgotten already. I think these are staggered, so they might be 48mm, 50mm, 42mm. This is the pole spacing, and these ones are all 50 or all 52. So again, doesn't matter, but these sort of spread out as the strings get wider, because obviously it's thinner this end and thicker this end, so the poles are more aligned under the strings, whereas these are all the same distance apart. Again, I don't know how much that matters. Sound wise, I definitely prefer the Affinity. We're going to go through a valve amp this time. This is an orange Rocker 15 Terra. Start on the neck pickup, just going clean. Second position. Middle position. Position 4, which is these two. And bridge. And let's compare that to the Bullet. Neck position. Second position. Middle position. Position 4. And the bridge. Okay, I don't really like the sound of the bridge pickup on this one, and it sounds a lot quieter than it did before, and I've put the pickups in the same height, so I wonder if it's a combination of the strings being different. Who knows? I do prefer the sound of the Affinity. I just think it sounds it sounds like it's got a bit more depth, if I'm being honest. The only thing I don't like about the Affinity is the bigger headstock, but I'll get over that, I don't really care. I think the colour's cool. 170 quid, and I'm going to keep this. This is going to be my... Those who know me, I like to have a Nashville tuned guitar. This is going to be it, so I'll put Nashville strings on it. And I'm also going to change the electrics, only because I've just taken some out of another Fender Strat I had. And it's all sort of pre-wired, and it's got the 7-way switching, so you can, this knob has a master tone, and this second tone becomes a blend. There's a video on that, and it means when you're in like position 1 you can blend in a bit of the bridge, and when you're in position, like the bridge position, you can blend in a bit of the neck. So it gives you like 7 options rather than 5, and I've just got that down there, so I'm going to put that in, and the pickups that are with it, which are from a 1994 Japanese Fender Strat. Again, ceramic pickups. They're a bit more powerful than these. They're about 5.2k output, or 5, I can't remember, something like 5, just over 5k. They sound nice. And the only reason I'm changing them is because I've got it there and I want this guitar to do a bit more. I like having, because I do studio stuff, I like guitars to have the ability to do a couple more sounds. This is irrelevant to the video, but basically I'm keeping this and I'm going to get rid of this basically. Looks cool though. It is a great colour. Plays really nicely though. I wonder if it's worth keeping for my kids. But they're like 4 and 5. It's going to be a long time before they can play a full-size guitar. Can't even play a half-size at the moment. Yeah, I would definitely recommend getting either of these. 120 quid for the Bullet, 170 for the Affinity. I would say if you can afford the Affinity, go for the Affinity, because if you got this, you could stick with this guitar, not change anything on it, and just have it as your main guitar or your backup guitar like forever. If you got the Bullet, I think you would want more from a guitar. It does feel a little bit more like a toy. It doesn't feel bad. Just something about this. I don't know if the neck's thicker or something, but that's again personal taste on neck carves. This one feels, maybe it's the body. I don't know. This one, I prefer this. Can't really put my finger on why, or sound-wise is one of the reasons, but this could be a guitar you keep forever. I think you'd outgrow the Bullet. I'd recommend the Bullet for a beginner, or if you want a backup guitar, or if you don't have a Strat, you want to try a Strat, or if you just want another guitar in a cool colour, buy a Bullet. If you want, well, this could just be your main guitar, and it's under 200 quid. Hopefully that was helpful. Check out some of my other videos, got some good mods for these, and a more in-depth review of this, and a more in-depth review of that. Hopefully that was helpful. Please like, subscribe, tell everyone, buy some guitars, I'll put links in the description.